Hello, cats and kittens, or the Jose and Rush Crew. I'm in the crisis corner and the movie corner with a quick rundown on my impressions of the Supergirl trailer. First and foremost, I'm going to see Supergirl regardless. I'm a fan of superhero movies. They've gotten a little bit worse over the years, but I'm a fan of the genre, so I'm going to see it regardless of whatever. I'm not overly familiar with Supergirl from the comic books. I know she exists. I know she's part of the Superman family. I know that she exists. So there's that. I'm not overly familiar with the works of Tom King or who wrote the source material, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, but I purchased the trade on Amazon. And I got to give DC props for using the movie or taking the time to promote the comics through the movie. So you got a sale from me. Good job. Now, I will say I was a fan of the Supergirl TV show, at least for the first season and a half. I thought it was good. It was good, clean fun. It was interesting at points. I like Melissa Benoist. She was cute. I like the storytelling was okay. The effects were good for TV. So I was a fan. One problem that I had with the TV show was that there was no clear distinction between Clark and Kara. They were basically the same person. They were the same type. The all shucks Kansas kid and superhero alter ego. They were basically the same person. So there was no contrast between the two. Which brings us to the trailer. The trailer is leaning heavily into the contrast between Superman, Supergirl, Kara, Clark. Because Clark is the last survivor of a planet that he's never seen. He's only seen it through clips and the video that we're not going to get into because that was a major plot hole in Superman 2025. But the point is that he does not know the world that he lost. Kara, as we see through images in the trailer, was there and was there when Krypton fell. And the line from the trailer that I think is the killer, a banger line from the trailer, when asked how it felt to lose everything that she ever lose her entire world in a day, her response is Krypton didn't die in a day. The gods will not be that kind. That is the killer line because it speaks towards the trauma that Kara is facing. She is feeling the loss of her entire world. She's an orphan from a planet that she knew. Now, this offers an interesting set of questions regarding the dynamic between Kara and Clark, Superman and Supergirl. Supergirl is dealing with her trauma of losing her world, and she's introduced in Superman as being a drunken party girl who likes to go to planets where there's a red sun so that she can get drunk. So she's an alcoholic, basically. Alcoholism could be caused by trauma, traumatic experiences, memories, whatever. So that's fair. That's fair. No issues there. My point being, is Clark cool with this? Is he trying to help her? Is there an age difference? In the comics, we know that Kara is actually older than Clark. But from what I understand in the movies, Clark is older than Kara. So he sees his cousin going through all of this and she's turned to an alcoholic. But in Superman, he seems cool with her running around, being absent when he needs her, getting drunk. So he's cool with that. Does he try to offer any help? Does he feel that she's sullying his brand, basically? Because yes, the S on his chest represents the House of L, but on Earth, it's an S, and that stands for Superman. That means that if she's going around drunk, if she can get drunk on Earth, probably not. Anyway, If she's not carrying her weight when he's risking his life to save this planet that he's adopted as a home, is that what is how does that sit with him, and what does that do to his brand? That's his name, his reputation. What's her actions doing to his reputation? That's an issue. The film is going to have to be very careful as it treads on trauma. You know, the Thunderbolts was supposed to be an examination of trauma. That didn't really work. So are they going to examine trauma here? But it seems 50-50 as to whether they're playing most of this for laughs or if they're playing this for serious, you know, examination of trauma. Now, to be fair, this is a minute and some change trailer. And there are instances in the trailer where it looks like they're sincerely dealing with how she is coping with her current situation. So I'm going to hold off on that. But I will say that they're going to have to be very careful when delving into that subject. Also, it seems that in terms of the plot, Kara is going to have to deal with her trauma while protecting an innocent bystander of some sort. This girl that she seems to be protecting is going to come under her protection, and she's being hunted maybe by bounty hunters or just criminals in general. That's an interesting premise. It kind of gives you true grit type vibes or something to that effect. So that's cool. I like that premise. Lobo's going to be in the movie, which is cool. We haven't seen him done live action. I'm cool with that. The visuals seem solid. The musical choice in the trailer, Blondie Call Me. I'm a kid of the 80s, 70s. I'm cool with that. And I'm not a music gatekeeper. I think music is music. Any generation, if the music fits, it fits. So if we're dealing with a party girl, a blonde party girl, I guess, whatever. But I'm a little tired of James Gunn selling me mixtapes. So if you have another one of those montages where there's a battle scene over a mixtape selection, I'm done with that. So I can live without that. And finally, I would say the one nitpick that I do have is another line, a line that I'm sure many have spoken of. Kara speaking of the difference between her and her cousin, that he sees the good in people and I see the truth. To me, that's garbage 8 days of the week. But if that's her perspective, that's fine. Because she's an alcoholic and she's traumatized, so she probably sees things that way. My problem is that presents the narrative of optimism being naive and pessimism being astute. That's dumb to me. And that usually, well, I just think that's stupid. But if that's a person's perspective, that's fine. Where everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just don't like that Superman is constantly looked down on because he wants to see the best in people, or he looks for the best in people. That's what you're supposed to do. But it doesn't mean that you can be duped by anybody because you're stupid. That's just my nitpick. Otherwise, I'm going to see this movie regardless of whatever, and I hope you are too. That's about it. Let me know what you think of the trailer. And until next time, stay loose.